Peace, peace, peace. Good morning, man. How y'all doing? It's the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com as well as altercreations.net, patreon.com/the Hood Mystic, hoodmystic@gmail.com, paypal.me/the Hood Mystic, a whole slew of different websites and different addresses that you can reach me for things outside of YouTube. So be sure to check the links in the description for more information. Also wanted to invite people to the Slack platform. Appreciate all that jazz, Jade, Kim, Rebecca, Shireen, all my people in the Slack family that kind of keep that thing going. If you're interested in Slack, it's kind of where we kind of meet up and just kind of be conscious on a platform that's not like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything like that. And in this environment, you might talk to people who you can vibrate with. I've seen people kind of connect on business deals and all types of shit. So, Slack, email me at hoodmystic@gmail.com for that actual link. And I can just simply add you to the Slack family. And, say, for instance, you just want to shoot this shit with me. 10 times out of 10, I'm on the Slack app because I guess before I get into this video, I will have to explain something about me. Throughout my day, I'm generally placed in front of like 4 computer screens and I'm multitasking throughout the day. So I have somebody might call, whether I'm at home or at the office. Throughout the day, somebody might call and say, my computer is on the fritz, I need some help. I'll remote into their computer, be fixing their computer, troubleshooting their computer, get a message on Slack, start replying to the Slack, replying to the email. My wife will hit me up, start chatting with my wife and a whole host of other people. That's just how I get down. So generally, people might see me and they might wonder, like, what do you be doing? I don't necessarily know, but I'm always like multitasking at a high level. So in that space, I just invite people to constantly reach out, build, understand what's going on. If we don't begin to connect, if we don't begin to talk, if we don't get to begin to check in with one another, then that's an indication that something is going wrong. And maybe I can't do anything about it. Maybe I can. But if you're not communicating, if you're not speaking, what's going on internally, then you're not getting real help. In this society, in this world, everybody is under the assumption that if I present a good face, if my photography is up, if I have a good selfie, then my life is a-okay. And so we strive and we fight and we work to create the perfect facade. Throughout this year, speaking of 2019, I've been very much intently working on alchemy, speaking on alchemy, transmuting negative energies, things of that nature, not because I want to sound different, because I felt as though there was a shift that was happening, and the shift might not be based upon mental intelligence, might not be based on physical strength, might not be based on material possessions. The shift might be, how emotionally intelligent are you? And the reality is that people are not. They're not. Beyond 2019 into 2018, I touched on a breadth of topics daily, day in, day out, on alchemy, self-development, spiritual development, because I know for a fact that these people just literally have to press a button, create elaborate hoax, create elaborate news stories, sensations that will pull on your energy, and when you think that it's over, it'll just keep going. I was talking last night to a good friend, and we were just speaking about the news and things of that nature. And she broke it down to me as though we've been literally living in the end of the world every 2 weeks ever since Trayvon Martin. Like, since Trayvon Martin, monthly, bi-weekly, there has been a post-apocalyptic scare. They shooting people on camera, you know, riots, corruption, Trump is the president, you know, straight up pandemonium, straight up anarchy. And we have forgotten how to craft, how to create our lives. And when people say I'm creating my life, it's not a mental activity. It can be a mental activity. It starts off at a mental activity, but to actually create your life, you have to begin to craft your life with your hand. Like, you have to be hands-on with it. And so, have you been working with your hands, developing your craft, working towards where you need to work to, would be what this nakshatra would be speaking to, nakshatra shitra. And the full moon in Libra versus any type of full moon is kind of abstract when you really think about it. Libra being a cardinal sign, one, like me as an astrologer and into consciousness, right? Because I didn't first astrology was my first occult science. Like, I was studying astrology since I was 12. And really intent ever since 21, like, so I'm 34. So I don't know how many years that is and things of that nature. But in studying astrology, you sometimes take a step back and then you get into the occult and the Bobby Hemmett's of the world and the panics of the world. And you start thinking it's all about me. And so your spiritual work and your spiritual attainment is something very, very personal. You know, year after year, you doing self rituals. It's all about you, and it's all about you and how you relate to the world. Well, Libra is not that. But then you say Libra is a cardinal sign and Libra is very important. It's hard for the psychic or the conscious individual to get with Libra. Because Libra is about other people, and being that it's cardinal, meaning that it's like a creative, or where they say like the archangels or the archons, or just people who can fashion reality, create reality. If you can imagine life in an imaginative perspective, there are beings at 4 directions: air, earth, fire, water, and they're creating the landscape. And you go outside, you see remnants of water, air, fire, energy, the sun. You could imagine that a being had a station where they begin to create this, and then you have the post where people were created, and where people were created, like me and you, is in Libra. So the concept is, at least I figure it this way, you could argue with me, that the Most High or the Supreme Beings wanted somebody to interface with. They didn't want to sit in their meditative bubble for all of eternity. They wanted to experience duality. They wanted to experience pain and all of these things. So they projected themselves down to this plane. There was a time where we knew our 3 levels of consciousness. We knew that this was just our 3rd dimensional body. We knew that we had a 5-dimensional body. We knew that we had an oversoul that was in constant meditation, projecting himself over and over and over again. We knew this. But then you imagine a great shift of this consciousness, and we've forgotten this. And to bring it back to Libra, this is how we can create our relationships. And one might think that relationships aren't important based upon this pseudo consciousness that is inundating the internet. You know, everywhere you turn to, it's about how conscious you could be by yourself. There is no, well, you need to connect. Like, connecting is imperative. Fashioning is imperative. All of these things that you have the ability to, you don't really do. You don't create the relationship that you want to have. You just simply live in a space where the relationship just is, because you was born on Washington Street on a corner in this neighborhood. And this is what fashioned you. This is what makes you. Consciousness to, you know, crack every barrier open and constantly open every egg is never like, I am Jerome from the 9 block. Like, it never reveals itself as that. It reveals itself as something much greater than Jerome from the 9 block or Lisa over there from Jefferson Street. So when we think about ourselves in that way, we are really under hypnosis, psychosis, you name it. We are out of touch because we don't understand ourselves first as this third dimensional being, right? That is the Malkuth, or that is the material revelation of who you are spiritually. And the things that you do on this plane actually reflect what you do spiritually, because as above, so below. And so many people say it, but how many people really reflect it? So this nakshatra, when you deal with the full moon, you're dealing with revelations. And I'm sorry to say, people have become religious in their consciousness. They have become moral in their consciousness, because their consciousness is something that rests and resides in the third dimensional frequency. When the reality of your consciousness, it just exists so far outside of your conscious mind that I know that the majority of people are not going to take the steps to kind of take a step back and realize this energy. And so me and personally, this nakshatra and this full moon, it seems important. It feels important to me because before I did this video, I put out a video about 3 or 4 videos ago called God Is. And I was speaking to Yakub, and I was speaking to Hephaestus, and I was speaking to Vulcan. And then when I do the nakshatra for what's actually going to be for this full moon, the actual deity over this nakshatra is a deity by the name of Tavastar. And Tavastar's Greek equivalent is Hephaestus. His Roman equivalent is Vulcan. So if you want a full understanding and a full comprehension of the power of creation, the power of your spiritual technology, then you might want to take a step back and watch that video and come back into this video. But it's like, ultimately though, it's a call back to nature. It's a call back to the womb. It's a call back to creation. And we can no longer live in a space where we are not creating our reality. It used to be some cool shit to say. It used to be some, you know, that's interesting, hoodmystic, you know, alchemy. That's real cool, you know, transmuting the negative energies. But I gotta go to work, you know, and all of these things. And so I'm gonna just read these comments real quick. Peace to everybody on the live full moon and Libra video. So it used to be cool to just talk about, you know, the emotional frequency that human beings was on. And, you know, some people pay attention to it. Some people didn't pay attention to it. Now, what I see, after all the dust is settled and we can look at a situation and call it for what it is, people are emotionally hijacked because they have not done any alchemy. So when it comes to grief, when it comes to anger, when it comes to shadow projection, whereas the media shows you a bad guy and you release all of your negative energy on that person, it's like it's a whole world going on around you. But the only thing that's important to you is what's going on these screens. And so it's very important to understand that even though you might have devices, even though you might have to work around computers and things of that nature, you got to set aside a time to put those things down and begin to deal with the world around you, or else you're falling into the game that they really have set up. This connection gap based upon technology is getting larger and larger and larger, and we're beginning to get isolated and more isolated and more isolated. So the reason why we become more isolated is because we are religious. We're not really conscious, meaning that we wanted a Messiah. So how do we express wanting a Messiah and not really knowing that we're seeking a Messiah? Because what it becomes is not personal development, looking for things that are going to enhance my life or better my life or teach me. We are simply looking for the person who has the most pristine knowledge, who's the smartest, who's the most eloquent, who's the sexiest, who has on the most fanciest clothes. Oh, who stitched that? Was that made in Africa? Ooh, that was an, ooh, what is that, a crystal? Did you mine that yourself? Oh, you really conscious. You out there mining? Oh, you got crystal jewelry? You know, it was never about alchemy, self-development, getting in touch with self. It was, I heard this concept, I don't know, in passing, listening to something, where we literally trying to win a rigged game. And outside of that, trying to win is a lot of winning, but you wouldn't necessarily know that you have the ability to win because the game has been completely rigged and is not in your favor. So we want to refer to the article. The links are in the description. I put out an article relating to this full moon, relating to all of the things that I'm going to be talking about. Generally put out a full moon article, type and build on the topics. And then from those topics, we just kind of give you more context, give you more meat. This full moon feels like it's going to be very serious, especially with the energies leading up to the full moon. But I don't ever want to get caught up in the sensationalism. I always want to stay grounded in the study. And from the study, you know, we've seen some sensational things, and not intentionally being sensational, but being intentionally grounded in our study, in our development, and not creating boxes in our studying, like being able to think differently, or to think like, okay, do we want to study Western astrology or do we want to study Vedic astrology? Well, Western astrology is easier, is more, you can understand it, more people will vibrate on you, you'll get more views, more people will like you, but Vedic astrology is more accurate. Okay, it's an easy decision for me. For most people, it's not. So I wouldn't necessarily. It's like to me, the more I study Vedic astrology, and then I see like astrologers like, oh yeah, the sun is in Taurus, and I'm like, or the sun, like, you know, where like you literally off, and it's off like 24 degrees off, and I can understand how that could have you off. It might feel like, so this is what it is. If you never heard anything about astrology, a person starts talking about astrology, starts talking about the placements, the planets, everything of how they are, and you don't know anything about astrology, for the mere fact that you don't know anything about astrology, that information that's being presented to you, it sounds good, it sounds factual, and then you look around, everybody around you is saying the same thing, so you just go forward with that, and you never really question it, and you never really abstract it. Or you hear about Vedic astrology. What is Vedic astrology? Well, Vedic astrology is way older than Western astrology. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to understand, though. You're going to have to really sit with it for a second, begin to really work with it. Oh yeah, I gotta really do some work. I'll just stick to the Western astrology, what everybody else is talking about, and keep going. But anyways, we're gonna deal with the 3 topics that I wanted to discuss with these 3 aspects in a roundabout way, in a direct way, or an indirect way, is emotional bullying. I was talking to my wife yesterday, and what I told her was, when I look at the media and I look at how they doing people, it's the same thing as me being a man and having my sons, and Tiny Lister coming in here and just start deboing my kids, and I ain't tied up, I ain't bound or nothing. I'm just like I am now, and watching Tiny Lister debo my kids and bully my kids, and me not ever saying nothing. Like, that's not even a reality, but that's a physical bullying. Emotional bullying is when the media knows you don't have no emotional intelligence, know your rationality, know your levels of logos and your levels of eros. These are things that you don't even talk about. You don't even think about. You don't think about that spelling words or spells, and your etymology and the words that you say, and the symbology and sigil magic and all of these things that come along with being emotionally sound. And then magic, because where we got it fucked up, like, so we going through a rough time in our lives, searching, get on YouTube and magic, and then all of this inner turmoil was within us, and we're gonna do magic with that shit. Look, they could give you the goddamn Philosopher's Stone. If you are hell-bent on trauma and hell-bent on not transmuting your alchemy, then it don't never matter. So what I'm saying is, they give you magic first, but they don't give you emotional intelligence first. But it makes more sense to be emotionally sound, because if I'm coming through in pain, like I broke my arm, and then somebody says, I'll grant you any wish, I could wish for anything, but my immediate pain is going to say, please cure my arm, right? And that's all you want? Yeah, like, this shit hurt really bad, just please cure this. And he cures the pain, like, what I'm saying, but the arm still broke, because you didn't say fix my arm or anything like that. You just said stop the pain from my arm, And so this is what's happening. Emotional bullying at a high level, where they is kicking ass and taking names, and people is just sad because they don't have no real outlet, because they don't understand that they are creating, like, that sadness is within them, but they could easily trigger that. You ever seen that movie American Ultra, where dude walks into the gas station and the lady walks in behind him and she whispers something like, the ego is a fat dog that wants to shit on you, and then that triggers something in you and you just turn into a killer machine? Like, that's how they do in the media and in different forms. Everything is entertainment, everything is elaborate, everything is well thought out, and because you don't think like that, you may think that other people can't think like that, or people would want to harness your emotions. But you gotta understand that your emotions tied to this matrix is all that they have. And as we begin to step away from this matrix and not go into another matrix, but really step away from the matrix and everything that is offering, and begin to connect with self and follow nature, and not, well, I don't want what you have to give me. You can't really offer me nothing at this point. Nobody can begin to bully you. When you think that you could live a better life, when you think that people are living better lives than you, then you can kind of get tricked and bamboozled and in some really crazy things. But it really shouldn't be like that. We really need to kind of do a real study on emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman, and then from emotional intelligence, read his next book, Social Intelligence, because are we socially intelligent? Like, do we know how to conduct ourselves in societies that we are not familiar with? I don't know. So the next point that I want to talk to, the next topic that I want to get to, is the lack of relationship with the self and how that creates isolation. And not having a relationship with self, even if you got a relationship, even if you got a large family, even if you got a large social circle, you not being in contact with yourself, you're not even connecting to them. So we are very isolated, even in our groups. And I want to talk about that as well. And finally, the last point that I want to talk to throughout this build is paying attention to what you're creating and noticing your surroundings, as opposed to noticing what's either in your mind or what's in your phone or what's in your laptop or what's in your computer. Like, noticing what's around you. And then if you don't like it, changing it. If you're in a situation that you don't want to be in, thinking about ways to get out. So the sun and the moon will be opposed and creating a T-square to Pluto and Saturn, and those planets are in Sagittarius. So the sun is also conjunct Uranus, so this full moon is going to bring a lot of change. And like I said, the moon being in Libra, it is really... Okay, so to explain this a little bit better, the sun in Aries is a force of forward propulsion, forward motion. It's like straight ahead. That's not really logical in any space or time to just be, you know, a torpedo. Like, you know, you would need to figure out where to slow down at. If it's a red light, maybe you need to take a left. Maybe you need to, you know, drive at the speed limit. So what stops this forward propulsion, or what kind of guides and directs it, is the moon in Libra. And the moon being in Libra is a partnership relationship sign. It's a basic need for every human being. We need to connect to other people, and we need to connect to other people not where it's toxic. So we need to find that balance, right? Because we got Libra scales. We need to find a balance where I'm not compromising my spiritual purpose or my soul's purpose, and I'm not isolating myself to accommodate my spiritual purpose. Because one side is, all right, I'm going to Hawaii, fuck my kids, fuck my wife, fuck everybody, I'm just going on my spiritual journey, fuck y'all. And it's like, okay, that's really the you know what I'm saying, that's one side. But then there's the other side, where it's, what's a spiritual journey? What's a soul journey? What you mean? I go to work, I come home, I go to sleep, I wake up, I go to work, and on the weekends I go out. What the hell is you talking about a spiritual journey? Yeah, do I got to start a business? What is you talking about? So you can understand that there has to be a balance, and an uncompromising balance, where you could live out your soul's purpose and still connect. The dark side to this full moon, the dark side to anything related to Libra, is this: you hurt me, so I gotta isolate myself. and I'm justified and validated and isolating myself. And so in that space, you don't understand nothing about full moon and Libra. Full moon and Libra is like, well, fuck this, you know, fuck astrology, fuck the hood mystic. I don't, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with you, so fuck you. This is Libra in its detriment. This is, you know, the ability not to connect. And then it's like, well, I got mad friends and I got mad people that I grew up with. Well, those are attachments. Like, you literally had no choice who your friends was growing up, or you grew up in a small city or a small town. Like, those are attachments. When it comes to connections, that is very, very, very deep. And so as we begin to deal with these planets, point by point, I'm not going to go, because I've been talking a lot, I'm not going to go through all of this, but if you want the full article, be sure to check out www.hoodmystic.com. It's the latest article that I posted up. I'm just going to talk on the things that really make sense to me. Ethnic conflict and human rights, that's interesting. But this full moon in Aries is going to bring about a split in consciousness. So I just want us to be clear that there are people who are polarized, and then there's the concept of polarization. Polarization is establishing consciousness in a world of duality. So there is a light side, there is a dark side, there is, you know, bad shit going on in the world. Who do I want to attack? Do I want to attack the mafia? Do I want to attack the gangs? Do I want to attack the Freemasons? Do I want to attack the child pornographers? Do I want to attack the human traffickers? Do I want to attack the corrupt bankers? Do I want to attack, you know, the IMF? Do I want to attack the British Empire? Do I want to attack, you know, the Chinese people? Do I want to attack the North Koreans? Like, who is the bad person of the day? But no, then you got this person doing shit in Hong, you know, who's saving babies. You got this person flying, like, you know, creating applications that people can, instead of calling the ambulance, like this 16-year-old kid, I can't think of his name. I didn't do no research, it just came to me, but I know that it's a 16-year-old kid I was reading in the Forbes that created this application that, since ambulance fees were so high, you could just Google, or not Google, but his app will either send you an Uber that's going to be cheaper, or just pick you up for free. Like, you know, and just the ambulance app, like 16 years old, you know, it's like good shit happening too, but then it's bad shit happening. And it's like, I could just be like, you know, I'm gonna just focus on being good, or I'm gonna just focus on being bad. And all of this is exhausting. Polarization is just being aware of both sides and know, like, so as we get into it, so like, you can't do everything about you can't solve every fucking world's problem. You could literally only, like, it might be massive shit going on in the world, but your house dirty. So do you just bolt out the crib to go save all the babies in the world, or do you clean your house? I say you clean up. You know what I'm saying? Like, clean up first. And from cleaning up, maybe you, like, everything will open up from you from there. But sometimes we can be led in particular ways that don't necessarily have shit to do with shit, you know. But this is just the apocalyptic moment of the week. You know what I'm saying? The world is coming to an end, and shit is really bad. So with that being said, where is the individual's point of wholeness though? Like, where could he be whole at? Like, I'm whole in this world. I'm not a victim of the negativity, and I'm not a worker of the light. Like, I'm not a shadow worker, nor am I a light being. I'm right on the center. Like, I'm in the moment. Like, might have to box, notes, you know, or I might have to, you know, scoop you or whatever, like, or, you know, we can meditate, or we could, you know, go eat some French fries. I don't know. We could go, like, I'm gonna always keep it in the present and keep it normal. I'm not ever too spiritual, nor am I too human. I'm kind of like, you know, you gotta kind of, like somebody, like you're talking to people, and then somebody comes talking to you, they start getting weird. And instead of like cringing, it's like, okay, you getting weird right now. Let's see how weird this is gonna get. You know, so it's just me. I talk to a lot of different people. Some people are very sound, some people are very crazy. But I find that the sound people and the crazy people, they keep me at a nice little balance. So I say that to say that all of this shit is happening so you can make sense of your world. And you're not gonna make sense of your world in this large leaping bound. We have to be present, we have to journal, we have to, you know, be vigilant and constantly aware. You should be built up in your journal so long, your notes should be so compiled that you now have a backlog of information that you can begin to pull from. Maybe there was something that you written 2 years ago, 2 months ago, that can help you today. That's why we free write. That's why we take notes, because all, like, what I've noticed about is so many times where I've been so relieved and so like damn, I wrote that shit 2 years ago and it makes perfect sense now. And I got so much of that. Like, you know, I'm constantly like thinking and writing, because even if the shit don't make sense today, it might make sense in the future, and you'll be benefited for that by knowing that you have a psychic sense within you. And having a psychic sense within you is going to pay off in this new paradigm. If everything ain't good and bad and you stay centered long enough, you will break through a threshold. Like, I promise you, you will break through a threshold. The problem in people not understanding consciousness is that they don't understand these 2 points. There's no good or bad, and you have to connect. If you are isolating yourself, calling yourself conscious, then you're not even understanding consciousness. Nothing about consciousness is about isolating yourself, staying in your own self, creating this facade of perfection that's only third dimensional. So this energy, the sun, this energy that is really bringing about the idea of being polarizing yourself, is flanked by the moon in Libra. And so if one is to say, I'm establishing consciousness, I'm being centered, I ain't worried about nothing, I'm in the moment, but I'm fierce with it, I'm deliberate with it, I'm full of intention about each moment. From moment to moment, I'm doing good, I'm really doing the things that really create more fire, create more passion. I think the moon in this aspect, the moon being opposed to this energy, is really trying to open up those new neural pathways. And so, okay, you meet a kindred spirit, you meet somebody you really, really like I really like this person. You feel it in your heart, you feel it in your beings, and maybe, you know, the timing is right. Y'all texting, you busy? Nah, I ain't busy. Hit me up. All right, you call them, had a conversation. That shit be like, oh, like, for real? You like that too? Oh, like, we are soulmates. And it's like, call me tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. Oh, all right, I'm gonna talk. Hey, I love you. I love you. I love you too. All right, bet, boom. Like, first day, you know. What happened though? What happened is there was no neural pathway that would create the stream of consciousness to continue, because the intention was not to create the neural pathway. Reason why we are closer to people that we work with or people that we go to school with is because we see them every day. And that creates a neural pathway of acceptance in our mind. But on the spiritual level, we have to be mindful when we do meet these connections. Like, this feels great. Do you agree that this feels great? Yeah, like, yeah, this really feels great. All right, bet. We need to come up with a plan that's going to ensure that we continue this thing, because we have no background knowledge or no memory to sustain this relationship outside of this moment. So let's do this for however amount of time. Let's talk every day for a week. Let's talk every day for 21 days. Let's create this pattern, because or else if that neural pathway isn't created, if you're not creating something new, like intentionally, like going against the grain, like, okay, here's this ocean, my village is over there, I'm trying to get this water to my village so I don't have to walk the 5 miles from my village to the ocean and carry the water back 5 miles. I can't do that. So we're gonna dredge a fucking river or a canal from the ocean to the village, and that's gonna take work, and we can't like quit. We got to keep going. And if we keep building this dredge, keep working this dredge, we'll eventually have that flow that we also need and we're also desperately seeking. So when it comes to relating to people, we just don't know how. When it comes to connecting, we just don't know how. So we have this energy, we have this fire, we have this burning, and we think that the money is going to make it. We actually think that the superficial relationships are going to make it, the career, all of this. But when it comes down to you being 65 and, you know, chilling, you want to be with somebody that you connect with, you know. So true communion, true union is based upon being able to have intimate, deep thoughts and feelings with individuals. I think I invited people to the Slack because I think what all that jazz or Chris is doing is putting together like this little shadow hangouts on air where we just kind of connect. He's setting up a time and whatever, and we're all just gonna get on the Google Hangouts and just talk about the shadow shit. Like, talk about shit that we never talk about and just like release, because we're not releasing it by thinking about it and dreading over it, and we're not releasing it by being fake in our relationships. We're releasing it by being intimate in thoughts and feelings in safe spaces where we're not judged. So any relationship where there's communication, where there's intimate thoughts and feelings, is better than a relationship where there's not. So this full moon, if we want to just really look at it and really take a step back, the need for connection. So we dealing with an opposition and we dealing with a change. So I just really want us to look at this. I really want us to understand this, and any kind of disagreements, you know, please feel free. But the sun conjunct Uranus, the sun speaking to change, like the personality, the ego's need for change. And Uranus is like, if you don't change now, then I'll change for you. But you're not going to like the way that I change it for you. And then you have the moon kind of being the rudder or the steer or the director. And the moon is saying my subconscious, my deepest need is connection. And the changes that I want to bring about is in connecting to people. But then, like, your mama, daddy, husband, wife is going to be like, well, ain't I your... What you mean you need connections? I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm in your face. What you mean you... Well, you kind of attached to me. You're not connected to me. And Connections is much deeper. Connections cut more harder, and connections lift you higher. And you know you're connected to somebody when you feel yourself growing. You know you're attached to somebody when you feel yourself being dragged down. So, full moon. The next thing that we're going to discuss is Mercury conjunct Venus in Pisces. And just remember the full moon, because we're going to discuss the T-square to finish it off. But we're going to just kind of segue over to Venus and Pisces real quick, because I think this is really important. Tied into the Sun conjunct Uranus, a few degrees up in Pisces, Mercury conjunct Venus in Pisces, rather. So the Sabian symbol for Mercury is a girl blowing a bugle, and the Sabian symbol for Venus is heavy car traffic on a narrow pathway linking two seashore resorts. So we have peace, we have complexity, and we have a warning. And a girl. So if ever in esoteric or occult you see a woman or a girl, that symbolizes your feminine or psychic nature, because when you read occult information, it's never about a group of people, it's always about you. And so it's always like symbology and things of that nature. So what does that represent? That represents your feminine psychic nature. So a girl blowing a bugle is like, they coming, y'all. So your psychic nature is blowing a bugle like, they coming, y'all. So it's like those warnings that you feel. If a bugle is being blown and you like look at the girl blowing it, like, mind you, we in the village or whatever. Just put yourself in an ancient mindset. We in the village. And we just doing our daily hunting and gathering thing. I'm getting the corn together. My wife on the pot, you know what I'm saying? Getting a bonfire together. We about to eat these corn and raccoon ass or whatever. That's what we eat in this village. And so we about to eat this shit. And then the girl comes in, blows the bugle. And we look at the girl blowing the bugle and be like, hey, put a little bit more butter on that raccoon ass. You know how I like that raccoon ass. I'm about to bring that corn. Like, we don't even do it. But everybody else in the village is like getting their fucking swords, spears, shields, helmets. You know what I'm saying? And we just sitting there cooking, acting like ain't shit going on. And that, like, if you could, all right, see that scenario, right? In the ancient times. Now project yourself to 2019 in America, where the girl is literally blowing a bugle and you trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do for work tomorrow? Or, you know, like, what is the barbecue going to be like this year? So it's like, this was a real tough one to kind of like really understand, especially since a Venus perspective of where it's at. Venus being at the 4th degree, where it speaks to traffic. Traffic is something that's very complex, is very confusing, like, to really understand it, like what makes a traffic jam. And, you know, like, you know, people go to school to understand about traffic, but we'll get on the highway and just drive, like, you know, cut the music up and just be driving. So here we are in a very complex, very serious environment, and you like, hey, turn that Young Thug up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't even paying attention. But if you were to think of it like that, you would probably drive a little bit worse. So it's very important to understand that. Or, right, just driving on the highway, then like it starts to get like traffic, or it starts to rain. Then it's like, hey, turn that shit down. Like, let me focus. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that type of thing, where for so much of our life we've been kind of joyriding. Hey, hey. But now all of a sudden, like, we driving and a goddamn cow come down the track, like, you know what I'm saying? And car accidents happening in front of you, like, oh shit. And then you kind of be like, oh shit, okay, let me focus. Like, you understand? And that's where I see Venus, because it's like, I'm trying to get from my job to the crib, home being like spiritual salvation or whatever you want to call it, oneness, wholeness. But I'm over here and I'm driving to somewhere, but then it's a hailstorm, snowstorm, rainstorm, tornado, hurricane, all at the same time. Do I stop going to where I'm going, or do I kind of, it don't say like you can get off the road or whatever, like you literally got to keep going because the only exit is home. Like, you can't stop. Cars behind you, cars in front of you, you have to keep going. And this is freedom to know, like, oh, right, it's hella crazy shit, John. All types of crazy shit happening, right? Yeah. And we still have to be focused. We still have to be mindful. I don't know, Chauncey, do you think, like, you say, like, in a traffic jam and it's confusing around you and you just be like, fuck it, like, since y'all want to drive crazy, I'm gonna drive crazy? Or do you get more focused and more intense on, like, oh, these niggas is tripping, you know? Right. So that's helped me understand Venus at this particular point. So if you look at the world and you see shit is more crazier, then by default we got to become more focused. All right. So Venus conjunct Mercury. Hope we clear on that. And then finally, well, not necessarily finally. That's his him being mean. When he blowing raspberries, he feel a certain type of way. Probably want you to put him down. But so we have this full moon and it's creating a T-square. I think T-squares alert us to challenges. T-squares alert us to problems. And these are things that we could do something about. At one level, we can do something about them because we can't do shit about it. If you understand, it's like, it's just a situation. It's like, I will have to walk to the store because my car not working. It's like, that's what a T-square is. It's like, can't do shit about this. So I got to think about something else. The Sabian symbol for Saturn is at 26 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's a flag bearer in battle. And the Pluto Sabian symbol is a fat boy mowing the lawn of his house in an elegant suburban street. So let's put those together. Saturn and Pluto are conjunct by 3 degrees. A flag bearer in battle. That represents somebody who... So a flag bearer, whatever that flag is about, that's your identity. So if the leaders of your gang are on some fuck shit, you rep that gang, then by default, you know, it's like y'all all fall in that same boat. And the flag bearer in battle, if you really want to get down to it, if you really want to understand it, it's just an individual who's under hypnosis. And hypnosis, it affects us at varying degrees. Some people are very susceptible to hypnosis. Like, so some men are what they would call submissive or open to hypnosis. And then, like, you would see them doing crazy shit, like really crazy shit. Like, you've seen stuff on YouTube where, like, the dude, or like, this is men and women can have like a dude walking them by a leash and shit, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you would call them stupid, you would call them crazy, but I think they're under some form of hypnosis. And I'm kind of studying that, so I'm not gonna get like super in deep, but I really feel like a lot of this world and a lot of the subjectivity and a lot of the submissiveness is due to a hypnotic spell being placed before you. And those hypnotic spells are really steeped in color magic, really steeped in symbol magic and things of that nature. And if you're not, the more you study like sigils and colors and sounds and, you know, language and etymology, then you can really comprise or understand the spell that's being put down that's really hypnotizing people. And when it comes to really hypnotizing or galvanizing people, they'll be galvanized behind a color scheme and a thought, you know, the ideology, because it's a lot of strong ideologies out here that people just don't buy into because the structure of it, they're not using the right subconscious programming. So it's like, I got this great idea. All right, then what is your ancient symbolism that you're going to attach to this great idea? Because if you can't plant the seed in people's mind, you can forget about it. And I know for a fact, when I wake up and I drive by McDonald's, without fail, every day there's a long ass line of people there. When I get off work, when I go to work, always people at McDonald's. And I also know for a fact, like, if I ate McDonald's, I would throw the fuck up. Like, I would literally have a violent reaction to that shit and just throw up. Because just the thought of eating McDonald's nauseates me. Why do people still eat McDonald's? Is it because the food's good? No. People still eat even though they look like they've been improving a little bit. I was traveling. Maybe it's because I was traveling. I walked into this McDonald's and I was like, maybe McDonald's, like, for the past 15 years, I've been like, absolutely not. Hell no, I would never. But I swear over this past, like, I'm changing, y'all. I'm changing. This past weekend, walked into a McDonald's like, I like the aesthetic. The aesthetic is like really pleasing. It make you want to like get one of them burgers with all the like lettuce and shit. But beyond the point, but you know, that's hypnosis though. You know, is just a level of hypnosis and really stepping up their levels. But you know, the golden arches, the red and yellow colors, very important as to why people even buy into the idea of McDonald's. Red, white, and blue, very important why people buy into the idea of United States. What about the politics? What about the people that we elect that are, you know, notoriously corrupt? The red, white, and blue, my nigga. What? Oh, I pledge allegiance to the, like, you know, it's a very much of a program. And with this hypnosis, the full moon either represents a deeper sinking into that hypnosis, or so people are sinking into hypnosis, people are rising out of hypnosis, but as people rise out of hypnosis, there are the gatekeepers. They're like, I see you're waking up, but Nipsey Hussle is Jesus though. And you like, you do present a powerful, compelling argument to the fact that he is Christ reborn. Fuck it, I'm signing up, you know? So it's like, just be mindful. If you awaken up out of a matrix, a shitty relationship, don't then go into a whole nother relationship. Give it some time. So if ever you waking up out of different paradigms, out of spiritual realities, don't go listening to people about what you should do next. Really take some time. So to summarize the T-square, which is the full moon. So we have a full moon at 180 degrees opposed from each other. If there's a particular planet that's 90 degrees to that full moon in a particular degree, it creates a T-square. And a T-square is where both planets, the moon and the sun, are square that one planet. But since we have Saturn and Pluto, they're actually those are some really tough planets to have a full moon, like Uranus, Saturn, Pluto. Like these planets in particular is like very tough, you know. It's very much of a transformation. It could be so beautiful though on another level when you think about transformation, when you think about the removal of boundaries and changes. Like this is full moon is gonna represent for a lot of y'all the moment that you've been waiting for your whole entire life, you know. And the reality is that we just don't know it. The reality is that we're caught up in a matrix, which is a toxic relationship, which is a job that's draining us of our energy and not giving us full compensation, and all of these things. The brainwashing of the media, the like not giving you any hope, no solutions, no emotional intelligence, no nothing. And you know, I was telling my wife the other day, like, I have to go hard because when I think about Coca-Cola, when I think about McDonald's, when I think about CBS, when I think about ABC, when I think about everything, like they work 24 hours nonstop to steal your mind, to pollute your mind, to fuck your mind up, to give you one way of thinking. And if I was a person that just like, you know, pop up out of my shell every now and again, like, hey y'all, I'm deep, I'm conscious, and you ain't, bye bitch, and you know what I'm saying, and just throw the deuces, like, that's not my brand of spirituality. I feel like you got to go as hard as your competition. And if you don't go as hard or have that same mentality, you gonna fall. Like, and I'm here every day with the shits. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm with the shits. But I say that to say that I know for a fact that people kind of just be like, you know, consciousness, alchemy, astrology. I don't see how it's important, really. Like, the reason why you don't see how it's important is because you're brainwashed. And the more that you come out of your brainwashing, you're going to realize that it's never the things that I wanted to have. It was always about me being psychologically sound. And psychological is not like me in a lab coat, like, you know, how did your mother make you feel? You know, it's very much of an individual connecting to their soul and that constant study of it day in, day out. We're trying to figure out how to connect to our souls. And if we haven't fully connected to our souls, then there's more work that we need to go. We get glimpses, we connect to it in some ways, but that connection isn't fused. And so nothing on media is going to point to that. Everything is going to teach you about how somebody else is better than you, how somebody's life is better, how your life can get better, and all of this shit. But nobody is saying you really need to connect to your 5-dimensional being and your ultimate oversoul and connect to your heart and follow your heart and begin to connect to people. Really figure it out, you know. What did I say earlier in this article? You have to make sense of your world. It's your world. You have to make sense of it. And so cards that fall on the sun and the moon. So what we generally like to do with these cards of the week is assign them based upon the decan for which the sun and the moon is at. So the first decan of Libra is the Two of Swords, and the first decan of Aries is the Two of Wands. So in abstracting these cards, we can kind of double down on what we've been talking about. Tarot cards are a good educational tool. I mean, some people like to I know I'm weird, right? But I'd rather sit and learn a card rather than just pull it. Like, what is my baby mama gonna do? And you know what I'm saying? Pull a card. Like, I just like to learn them and study them, because in each card there's numbers, symbolism, a host of other things that you could begin to study. And so the Two of Wands is the same thing that we're talking about. If we look at it in the Rider-Waite deck, it's a person looking out on his life, and he got the world in his hands. And he's like trying to get to that point. Like he's like looking at like all the things that I can do. The world of possibilities. The world is my oyster. What I notice about him and how this relates to the Two of Swords, how like the dude is sitting there looking at him and his sword is down. Like he's like I don't want no smoke. Why don't I want no smoke with you? Because I got a journey that I'm going to. Like I'm going outward and onward. I'm not going to sit and chill. Like I'm not gonna beef with you. I'm not gonna fight with you. The war is over. Like I don't got nothing to prove to you, nothing to show you. I'm just trying to do my thing. And so let's end this beef. And now that would allow the man in the Two of Wands to really be in that space, to really be like outward and onward. I can do whatever I want to be. Dominion, you know, Mars and Aries. Like I can be who I want to be because I'm really in my Two of Swords bag. My Two of Swords bag is peace, no more drama. He even gave him like a little like statue. Like here go the little statue. Here go a little sprig leaf. I'm putting my sword down. You won, my nigga. Peace. Like it is what it is. But on the other side, I'ma really get into my Two of Wands bag and really go forward. So I hope that message really resonated with you or you took something from it. I know I kind of talked a lot and I didn't even get to everything in the article. So I just want to invite people again to go to www.hoodmystic.com, read the article. It's way more in depth than what I talked to, and I talked for like an hour and 10 minutes. All of this energy, all of this information indicates to me that this is going to be a very important time leading up into this weekend. And I just want to encourage and remind people that you are important. Your spiritual practice is important. The things that you do, the things that you meditate on, the things that you vibrate on, continue to do so because we are changing the world slowly but surely. We are increasing. We are, you know, bettering our position in society, but this is all a collective work and we all have to continue to do this collective work. We have to always work to connect with others, even though it's hurtful, even though it's painful, even though it scares us. We still have to make that the focus because we cannot do this shit in a vacuum. So if you want to get added to the Slack, please do so by emailing me at gmail.com. That's just a place where we kind of link. There's a general chat room, but then you can also sidebar individuals. It's not like really popping. That's why we need you to come there to the Slack to get it popping. Bring your people with you and let's get conscious. Like it's no like it's just like conscious conversation, seeing what we can do, you know, putting your bid out. This is what I'm doing. Hey, y'all been experiencing this or, you know, whatever, you know. And it ain't like Facebook where your mama be like, girl, what you talking about? You need Jesus. That's what you do need. But so yeah. The website is hoodmystic.com. I don't know if I said that yet, but yeah, hoodmystic.com. Also, altercreations.net. That's my wife's site. She's been really busy, like behind the children, 3 small children, the oldest being 5 boys, meaning that they don't want to listen. And then, you know, creating these chairs is not like something that's easy, but the work that really comes out of it, the creation and the ability to create things with your hands is just magnificent. And just to continuously watch her grow and watch her continuously develop and making these chairs, like I can't help her. Like I tried to help her, but spirit be like, yo, back up. Like this is her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Do she help you write your videos? And I'd be like, no. Well, then don't help her do this. Let her, continue to work with her hands. Let her know herself, because as she works with her hands, she's seeing herself. She's creating herself. She's creating her life in real terms. And in a spiritual way, I can see her spirit creating something in the spiritual world in the same vein as her creating these yoni chairs down here. So if you interested in my wife or anything that she's doing, please hit her up at altercreations.net. Hit that contact us link, and it'll email right to her, and she'll respond. If you have any interest in what she builds, or the significance of yoni chairs, or the process, or how long it takes to make, because it's not like she can just make it in one day. Any specific personal thing that you might want on your yoni steam or whatever, or your yoni chair, like, I don't know. Me as a guy, I'ma just speak from my perspective. If the yoni not steamed, I don't want it, man. But with that be, no, let me read these comments. You said what? So Sanyata Aura, if you still on the live, can you explain that question a little better? You said I never talked a lot about everything you say is valid can get two different people on two different levels. Can you explain that question a little bit more? I don't really understand. Deasia, I think the best deck to learn tarot from, honestly, is the Rider-Waite deck. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I'm the king of unpopular opinions. I think the Rider-Waite deck is probably the most sound of, okay, just basic ABCs of tarot. And then from there, if you want to get fancy with it, then get fancy as you want to. But if I never understood, like, Rider-Waite, it kind of hits on all the points that when I go to other decks and I like other decks and I really be studying other decks, the Rider-Waite deck is the deck that's like, that make a lot more sense now. Like, I'm finding myself, cause I use the Thoth deck, like, but I studied the Rider-Waite deck intensely. Then I studied the Thoth deck intensely. Then like the Voodoo deck intensely. The Rider-Waite deck is like, I don't know, I like that one. I really do like that one. So I don't know. Then it's all personal preference. Like, what type of person are you, like, or what's your culture? If a deck speaks to a particular culture that you understand and can vibrate with, then that deck will speak to you. But any deck that you get, the deck is cool to understand, but then you got to understand the numbers, then you got to understand the court cards, and then you got to understand the major arcana, minor arcana. It's not something that's like, tarot cards, let me read. Let me read for you. Like, I mean, I guess it could be, but I never looked at it like that. Hermetic Golden Dawn deck. I got a Hermetic deck too. Is it the golden? I don't know if it's the Hermetic Golden Dawn deck, but it's definitely a Hermetic deck. Is this the same one? I like this deck though. This deck is lit. What? Oh, so I was talking too much. Exactly, Kim. Exactly. Like, this is a time where you either make or break, and it's not going to be no internet shit. It's going to be your goddamn neighbor. It's going to be something that you see in real life. Like, are you going to be able to react, or are you going to really break down? Ain't nothing wrong. I mean, sometimes we could get too woke and we could get too conscious and we can kind of turn our nose up at the Rider Waite deck. But that shit is sound. It's a sound deck. Yeah, you gotta really love your neighbor, understand your neighbor, and talk to your neighbor. Don't don't be in a space where you think you could just be in a space where you could just like live in this isolated world, because that shit is gonna come to a head very soon. But I appreciate y'all joining me for the live today. I would appreciate this. I would appreciate everything that I said, you know, everything that I kind of processed. Like, the best thing that I would say, you know, is to really kind of take a step back, but don't step too back to where you're isolating yourself from everybody. Maybe find somebody that you can take a step back with, and then once y'all take a step back, begin to work on something very, very hard. Like, work on something on a partnership level, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Go hard. The sun is in Aries. It's like collectively, like Kim's name, the collective press. Yeah, for sure. We have to collectively press, no pun intended. So with that being said, reach out to me in any type of way. I'm available. Just hit me up, hoodmystic@gmail.com. Exactly. Full moon in Libra really speaks to balance, and balance is very much needed. We can't sacrifice ourselves, nor can we sacrifice the fact that we need to connect with people. And if we can find that balance, then we can really find that center space where we can really move forward. So thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Enjoy. But just really reach out to my wife, you know, talk to her about the things that's on the site for more detail. If anything interests you, ask her about the altar spray. Thing about my wife, she's really private. You know, I get a lot of her emails and things of that nature, and they be like, girl, thank you for this bath salt and whatever. I would be like, I be wanting to post it, but it's just like, it ain't me. So I'm gonna just let her do her mojo the way she do it. And you know, altercreations.net though. And y'all have a good day. Full moon in Libra. I hope this video it spoke to you in a way that it made sense, because I put a lot of work into creating this video, creating this content. I think I was up till about like 2 a.m. last night trying to get my computer together, because I wanted to do this video last night, but my computer was on the fritz, and finally got it up. I just really wanted to talk about this video, really wanted to put this article out, because I really hope, and I writ the article to where hopefully you can understand. I don't know, just putting in a lot of work so we can really understand this shit moving forward. Because where I once was talking about alchemy and all of this shit, I thought it was kind of interesting. Now I know it needs to be implemented in a real way, so I'm working with other people and getting these things out. So probably one of my longest videos ever, but thank y'all for riding with me. Peace. Hope y'all have a good day.